Welcome back. You're in the garden with Bree here in the Piedmont of North Carolina, and it is almost the end of April, shockingly. But April's one of my favorite months, so we're going to do a really exciting garden tour. This is when everything starts to ramp up. There's already so much going on. I know I said that for March. There's even more in April. Everything is just looking so beautiful and healthy and growing along. So we're going to start here in the herb garden, which I haven't really talked or shown much about yet because it was sleeping for the winter. But this is my perennial medicinal plant area. We'll start there. We'll go to our vegetable patch and we'll look at a few other things that we have growing around the property that are really popping off right now in April. Let's go. This is my St. John's wort that I cannot believe how huge it has just continued to sprawl and grow. This plant right here started out as a teeny little potted 3-inch plant maybe 6 years ago at this point, honestly, maybe 5 years ago. Since it's been in the ground, it has just been so happy, and like its namesake, it starts to flower generally around the summer solstice, sometime mid to end of June. It'll get these beautiful yellow flowers that we're going to make some medicine with later on, so stay tuned for that. But I'm so excited that this is just multiplied, and I'm just going to let it keep doing that. We're not going to mow it down. Another one that has grown really extensively this year, this spring, is my elder. I'm going to be a stickler here. This is not an elderberry tree. Elderberries grow on this tree. We call it an elder tree. So I just get a little bit, I don't know, particular when people call it elderberry, because it also has beautiful flowers that we're going to see hopefully in less than a month. I'll show you that. We'll make some lovely medicine from that as well. Elderflower tincture and honey is really beneficial. And then the berries form. But this started out as a stick. So that's the beautiful thing about elder. You can just propagate it really easily. Take a cutting, put it in some water, let it root, let it get really good roots established, put it in the ground. I'll show you the ones from cuttings from this time last year that are already little saplings. So this is maybe also 5 or 6 years old, but was in a pot for a while. So this is its second year in the ground, and it's going to be beautiful. So that's exciting. Let's see. We'll look at this later on in the season. This is the Monarda, the native bee balm, coming back. There's some wood betony that's going to flower. Our tarragon, when I planted this for my partner who loves tarragon, not nearly this much. I didn't know it was a perennial. I didn't know it spread so much. So we have that all over. And I'm going to need to figure out some ways to preserve this as well. But this one is popping off. Over here, we have our biggest volunteer of the season probably this year. And this is our native passion flower, Passiflora incarnata. Yes, Passiflora incarnata. So there's tropical versions. This is native here in the southeast and I think lots of other areas. And it's perennial. It clearly is prolific. So I actually need to come in here soon and start weeding out like this guy here. So yeah, so this, I don't want to suffocate the tarragon where it was already vining up, but I can root this. So I don't want this to suffocate where it was on the tarragon. I learned the hard way last year that that's what it was, just a passion flower patch in the end of summer. So, but this, pulling it up by its little runner, I can root this and have cuttings and plant it elsewhere, or more likely just give it away. So at least it won't go to waste, but I need to kind of weed these out. But that hopefully will climb up the trellises this year and help control it. This is a beautiful big mullein that these are like biennial. They'll flower every second year. So that should flower this year. It's very big and happy. Who else do we have? Let's see. There's more bee balm back here. The yarrow is just starting to flower. This is again a native yarrow species, but also highly medicinal. So very excited to do all sorts of processing and preservation with so far every herb I've mentioned, including passion flower. So that's going to be exciting. But yarrow is a great flower too because it has that flat surface that a lot of beneficial insects like to hang out on. So that is coming up in all of these places over here. This is a really exciting one. This is motherwort, and if you can come in and see how it grows. So motherwort is a beautiful herb of protection. Look at its spiky little flowers. Like it exudes boundaries. And so this is a beautiful plant. This can get up to like 8 feet tall. I'm very excited about my motherwort and making beautiful medicine from that. And then mugwort. You may have heard of mugwort before. Really great herb to support sleep and even dreaming, but you can make burning bundles that smell really good with this. So this is just, everything is so happy this year already, and you know, getting so big and bushy, and I love it. I think that's it in the herb garden. Over here is actually my partner's bog garden area. He's the expert on this, and hopefully we'll do another little video or short on this, but this is just a sneak peek. Since this time of year they're starting to get going. These are our carnivorous plants and pitcher plants. There's beautiful flowers over there, and they're just so unique, and most of them are native. So North Carolina has really awesome some endemic carnivorous plants. So we'll talk about that later, but it's cool to see it coming back up for the spring. Very reliable. Tell me you have a deer problem without telling me you have a deer problem, right? This is also to protect it from the birds because these are bloobs. These are our blueberry bushes. Third year, I believe. So we got these when we moved in right away. We knew we wanted some big blueberry harvests eventually. So if you come in, you can see these are already starting to fruit. Our other ones are just flowering, but this one is looking really good. It's grown a lot this year. It's so good. Everything's so exciting. So that way this is protected and we can still harvest it for us and not the birds when we're ready. Real quickly, these, we have 2 of the elder cuttings that I took from that one plant I showed you. I did that maybe February last year, let them root, put them in pots with dirt, really get them established. And then this February, I planted them. So just to see this really awesome growth already. They're little trees, super happy over here. Elder is pretty hardy and can grow in most any environment. They like to be a little wet, but they don't have to be. So yeah, we got 2 more elder trees that we're going to have coming up for lots of good immune supporting medicine. Let's go. Now we are back in the big veg patch that the deer fence has already proven an incredibly great investment and very effective. I'll explain why in a minute. But it's also like a beautiful post-rain evening right now, and there's like a glow happening. So I hope we can capture that. But this, all of this, let's go look at it all over here. This is our crimson clover. This was an experiment, first time doing it, to do a cover crop. And I was waiting and waiting because I knew it was supposed to get tall. It's supposed to have these beautiful red flowers that helps pollinators early in the season, things like this. But it kept like not growing. It kept just being these like piddly little, that maybe is clover, in the ground for months. I seeded this in September of last year. Well, the deer were browsing it over and over again. They love clover. And so after just like maybe less than a week of the deer fence being up, they finally started to grow. And now they're at their like max expression. And it's really exciting. So these beds were where we had our corn last year. So I knew I wanted to supplement the soil and get as much nitrogen back in that soil as I could, since tomatoes are going here this year, and the corn's going to go in these other beds where there's more crimson clover as well. So I'm really excited to see how jam-packed with those nutrients this soil becomes. But it's just, it's so beautiful. You just seed it, you let it go, you leave it alone. I've seen bees all over it. I've cut some bouquets from it, and it's also suppressed any other weeds that would grow here. Actually, let me show you. I need to pull one up. So it's really hard to see, but the nodules are on the roots, and they're just like these little, they're not as noticeable right now, I think it's the way they're at the end of their growing cycle, but they store in the roots. And so that's why crops like this, cover crops, these are chop and drop. And so really this coming week, I'm gonna weed whack all of this, just let it mulch into the ground as another additional source of green nutrients. But then you want to leave the roots in the soil. Just like with green beans, if you grow green beans one season, don't pull them up when the season's done, cut them down. Their roots are gonna release that nitrogen from those stored nodules and then supplement the soil with all that goodness. So this is exciting. I know next year I'm gonna probably get like 20 more pounds of seeds and cover crop all the beds I need to that are going to be not in use for the winter. So this is good stuff. Just the last thing, I just want to reiterate how just exciting it was to successfully have this cover crop. It's such a good surprise, and I kind of feel like a real gardener, almost like a farmer, if you will. We have lots of farm fields around our house, and I saw a giant field of crimson clover on my way to work the other day, and I recognized it, and I was like, I know what you're doing. We're doing the same thing. So just those really cool techniques that you can adapt to a home garden, I just find exciting. And I love any plant that is like beneficial on many levels and also beautiful and also low maintenance. So highly recommend it. We are back at the broccoli and Romanesco beds that I showed you in March. And I had already prefaced that by saying, I think it might be too warm for us to have these as spring crops. And my hypothesis is proving correct, unfortunately. We have just, we just had, warm spring, pretty dry, and it's already just stayed warm. So anyway, the broccoli is trying, bless its heart, but you can see here, this one just went straight to bolting. It didn't even try to form a head. That was probably the day where it reached 90 degrees in April. I did go ahead and chop some off that were bolting, and maybe we'll get some side shoots. It's going to cool off next week, so I'm leaving some heads that are forming in the hopes that they are able to get a little more mature. But I don't think it's going to happen, and it's okay. This is how we learn. Now I know that I'm just going to pretty much succession sow broccoli transplants, starting in maybe September and then all the way through December. And I'll still have a spring harvest earlier in spring of fully mature broccoli, but it just gets too hot for them to mature. These were planted in February. It's not enough time. The Romanesco over here is going to be the same case. They're leafing out, they're getting mature, they're growing, but they need a good like 60 more, no, maybe 45 more days of time to grow in cooler weather to form their head. So I don't even know if they're gonna form any head, but it's, suppress some weeds at least, and this is how we learn. So not too much broccoli in the spring. I was really excited for a hearty April broccoli harvest. It'll be okay. There's nothing to see here, but I did start planting green beans already because, like I said, we are like well past our last frost date. I don't even know when the last time it was even close to frosty here. The average now, because our zones changed, is like beginning of April. It was mid-April. But anyway, so I'm slowly planting a few things because I'm not used to being able to really get things going this early. I also want to be mindful that April is still unpredictable, but green beans, they'll be fine. So I planted those here. I started some little patches. I got some, oh, I see some popping up. So I got some summer squash in the ground, and now I see right behind us, I see one popping up. Oh my goodness, look at that! So this is our first zucchini plant of the year. I knew another one had popped up, had germinated, that I planted like 2 days before this. So I'll show you that, but that is so exciting. So I strategically do plant my summer squashes, really like yellow squash, zucchini, patty pan are the main ones. I try to get those in as early as possible after last frost, because that seems to help me be able to more combat the squash bugs, but also squash vine borers. So usually by the time these plants are mature enough, and then that's when the vine borer season starts, coming, they can resist it more, and I also can like have more time to prevent it. So that's a trick that I recommend. Don't hold me to it this year. We'll see. So you might remember from the March garden tour when I showed you and told you about potatoes. These were just barren beds of soil and some weeds, and now the potatoes have sprouted up. So really exciting to see. Homegrown potatoes are, I just love to see it. These are the white, the Kennebec ones. These are growing a little faster. These are the red gold ones that, I think I have that right. One of them takes longer to mature, so it would make sense that this one is going to be that 90-day one and this one is the 60-day one. But anyway, they're looking good. Really excited about potatoes. The garlic, we talk about that every time. It's coming along, but it's getting to its point where the tops are going to start to kind of die back, get brown, start to fall over, and send me those signs that it's going to be ready to pick soon. So I've stopped watering it. I definitely stopped adding any nutrients or organic fertilizer months ago. But I mean, this looks like it might be like a mama jamma big old garlic bulb. We'll see. They're looking good. I'm excited. So I think around end of May we'll know for sure. And then over here, this is a working garden. We got projects going on to get ready for planting the summer garden, but this is our little patty pan, guys. So they popped up 2 days ago. I was so happy to see it. Patty pans are really quick growing. They're a great early summer squash. We'll be eating them like in spring though. Lastly here for now, I just want to mention I'm really glad I listened to my gut, and this broccoli plant that bolted and went to seed back in like November or December maybe, I was like really wanting to save the seeds because it's a really good variety of broccoli. And so finally they're starting to dry, and some of the seeds have already popped off, but these are going to be green ones. But so all of these pods are filled with little broccoli seeds. So I'm gonna harvest these seeds and preserve and store them soon for next end of fall, which is really exciting. So that's what's going on right now in the veg patch. The main highlights. There's still some other things growing. The onions, they're taking their time as always, but it's just gonna keep going from here. So I'll be planting out the corn soon, melons, black beans. I'll be transplanting my tomatoes and peppers soon. I like to wait till I know it's like really going to be warm, so maybe like end of April, beginning of May. And I'm excited, like I said, to chop and drop that crimson clover and get those beds ready. So in the coming weeks, I will be prepping the beds, getting the weeds out, adding any supplements to soil I need, and then constructing the trellises for pretty much almost everything. I feel like so many summer vegetables need support to grow along like vines and things like that. So we'll be doing that as well. It's gonna be really good. And the May garden tour is gonna be popping. Okay. If I had to choose a favorite fruit, it would be raspberries. They would at least be top 3. So I am really, really pleased. I'm trying to use different words other than excited, but there's not many. I am so excited about our raspberry patch here. We are going to get berries this year on these plants. This is their second year. They were bare root plants end of last winter. One randomly produced a fruit last year, and it was like the best raspberry I've ever had in my entire life. So I just need to give these a shout out, and I just can't wait. I honestly don't know when the fruits will be ready. I think it's later in the season, but I will surely share that with you. Saving the best for last here, the strawberries. So in the March Garden Tour, we talked about how these would be coming along so soon, and they have just exceeded expectations. We have already harvested, I mean, at least 3 pints of strawberries from these just in the past 2 weeks. But I mean, you can see they're just like berry, 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 beautiful, ripe, perfectly red berries. And there's just more coming in. So I saw a perfect one I wanted to harvest right here. Look at this one. So just see how beautiful. I'll do like influencers do. Look at that. Look at that beautiful red berry. And it's going to be delicious and juicy and so sweet. Right. So good. Getting our vitamin C today. So yeah, we're just going to be in berry heaven here for quite a while. Good stuff. Just wanted to quickly show a portion of my tomatoes and most of my peppers that were ready. These got mature enough inside and actually beginning of this past week. So they've been outside on and off, hardening off for at least 5 days. They've been doing really well in this shady spot, and I'm going to move them to a sunnier location next week. But never forget to harden off anything you've started indoors. These are coming along great, and they are going to get in the ground in the next 10 days, probably less than 2 weeks for sure. Looking good. Yeah. This April, we also had another exciting development and an addition to our family, and this is little Olive. Olive. She's a little kitten, and we're very, very excited to have her. Oh my God. Yeah. She's excited to be here. Little Olive. Ollie.
Sita's in there warning Sadie. Yeah, it's a younger me. They're gonna do that with you soon, Sadie.
It's fine.